I'm going to do number 25 here in on the TI so you can see how to do a regression on the TI. We have tips below, the amounts of bills for dinner and the amounts of tips that were left. We want to come up with a line of regression to predict how much you should leave as a tip. So first thing is you should make sure that you have all your data entered into your TI, which that in itself, so remember, go to Stat, go to Edit, and you can see here in List 1 and List 2, I've input the amounts and the tips. And this is the most annoying part of the process. Now, if you did want to see the scatter plot, always a good idea here, I'm going to go to the first one. I'm going to go to On. I'm going to go here to a scatter plot, and then I'm going to switch this here to List 2, where my other data is. And then I'm going to go to Graph, and it's not going to show up, remember, so I'm going to have to go to Zoom, and I'm going to have to go to Zoom Stat. And there is my scatter plot. Not great, not horrible. I can definitely see the trend. So, like, okay, probably very possible that this is there. Now, when I go to go do the regression, okay, I'm going to go to Stat, I'm going to go to Calc, and I'm going to go to linear regression here. This is number 4. Okay, I want the linear regression. I'm doing List 1 and List 2. Remember, if they weren't here, you'd go to Second Stat for the list, put them in for what you want. Again, make sure you have X and Y the way they want. In general, X is what you control, Y is what you're hoping to output. So, you have the amount of the dinner, how much should I get for the tip? There's the Y. Okay, so I'm going to enter here. Here is my two things. First of all, here's my correlation, my Pearson R, 0.828. Is that good enough? That's pretty high, but we have a very small data set. When we look at the table, we only had 6. We would need bigger than 0.811, which we actually just barely squeaked by, so we can use this. Looking at just the scatter plot, you could definitely see the linear trend, but again, this is one where really what we need is more data. Now, our regression equation, you're going to simply plug this in to what you see here. So you can see A, the slope, is 0.148, and then plus, well, it's going to be negative, minus, here's the intercept, 34 cents. So this tells you to take each your bill amount, times it by 14.9%, and then subtract 35 cents. In other words, tip at 15%, guys. That's what this says. But that gives us a pretty consistent, if you think about it, most people probably tip somewhere between 10 and 20%, so that seems about reasonable. When you actually look at something like the intercept there, that intercept of negative 35 cents makes no sense, but it needs somewhere to start, because you're not going to have, obviously if you didn't go to the restaurant and you didn't do anything, you're not tipping anything either. But hopefully this helps you. This does a very nice regression, and the nice thing is that when you do the regression, it will also give you the Pearson R, which you usually need to check at the same time as well. This also gives you an idea of how to do the scatter plot in the TI so that you can check that as well. Now, if I wanted to do a prediction here, I could do this 2 ways. So first of all, to find, say, I want to know how much I should tip on $100. I would then put 100 in for X. So I would do, in this case, 100 times 0.149 minus 0.35. And I get 1455, which is about what we were, guesstimating just looking at it. But that's how you officially do it. You can also choose to go put the line in here. So if I did this, and I think it was 14.9, but I remember this was 0.35. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. 0.149x minus 0.35. Okay, the other way you can do this is I'm going to go here and I'm going to turn back off your stat plots, guys. So if you've been using your stat plots, I don't want them on. I want them off. Okay, so make sure you turn them back off after you're done with them, otherwise it makes it hard. I'm going to reset my zoom to zoom standard, and then you can see here, there's my line. Now, if I go here to second graph, this is my table function. And so this is Bill, and this gives you up. And so then I can skip. And what I can do here is if I go to table set, which is second windows, I'm like, I want to start at 99, and I'm going to count by one still because, but then I come back over here, and right there, there's my 100 and my 1455. So you can also use the table function and input it. Now, for the most part, since you're only doing it once, it's probably less to simply put into your calculator and work it out, but it's a cool extra little trick on something else to do. So hopefully this helps you with this process. If you want to use the TI does a pretty slick job. The one thing I would say is I think the graphs are better in StatCrunch or Excel just because they're easier to see. But the regression itself, the TI does a great job. The issue is data input. I hate having to put big long lists into the TI. That's where I think the TI is weakest. So on this, I might recommend you use Excel or StatCrunch simply so you don't have to do the data entry.